Hello and welcome to our third Flavorful Summer of STEAM video. Today is our engineering video, and we're going to be learning how to scramble eggs inside the shells using the principles of the centripetal force. Let's start off by discussing the ingredients and materials you'll need. As always, you can find a PDF with all the information in the description below. Start by grabbing a pair of nylons or a sweater. You'll also need elastic or clips, a pot or pan, cold water, a sealable bag or Ziploc, and the main ingredient, eggs. Now let's go make some eggs. Start by placing the egg into the sealable bag. And seal it up well. Make sure you get the air out as well. Next up, add the bag to your tights or long sleeve shirt. Here I'm using an old pair of tights, but you can use a long sleeve shirt, a sweater, anything that has kind of a long tube structure. And there's a couple different ways that you can set this up, so here's a slightly different version. So here we're using a long sleeve shirt. Here we are sliding it into the sleeve and attaching it with clips or elastic bands on either side of the egg. Alternatively, you can do what I did and tie both ends. The idea is to create a compartment where you can swing your egg without it moving back and forth. Now find a safe space where you have plenty of room to spin around your egg. We did this plenty of times, so you probably need about 100 turns. Next up, cook the eggs. You can follow our recipe or your own. So start by adding eggs to water and wait until it starts to boil. Then, once the water is boiling, remove it from heat and cover it for 10 minutes. This should leave you with the perfect hard-boiled eggs. Let's go see how they turned out. So here, my assistant has placed the eggs into ice water to cool. The next step is to peel the eggs. I am definitely not an expert at this, but if you have a better way, comment below. Next up, we're going to cut them open and see how they look. Clearly, this egg is not scrambled, and this is kind of what the normal hard-boiled egg will look like. But what we are trying to do is scramble the egg inside its shell. Here are a couple of our other attempts. They're not perfect, but science isn't either. Just because your first try doesn't work doesn't mean that it won't work in the end, so try again and make adjustments. Ultimately, our team was able to come up with an inside-out scrambled egg. So here you can see that the entire egg is that light yellow color. What's happened here is the egg actually scrambled inside its shell before it was cooked, which is why you can no longer tell the egg white and the egg yolk apart. Pretty cool, right? So, how does this work? Let's find out. So say you want to make a boiled egg. You can pick between doing it normally or scrambling it inside the shell. How we did this is we took our egg and then put it into a tube of fabric or a sweater and then tied off the ends. We then rotated it very, very rapidly until the egg had scrambled inside its shell. So the idea is that our egg was rotated in this circular path. And this happened over and over and over again, thanks to a force known as the centripetal force. The centripetal force is a force known as a center-seeking force. What this means is that at every single point along the circle, the egg was actually being pulled into the center of its circular path. So now you might be asking, why is the egg not in the center of the circle? This is because of the other vectors involved. The velocity of the egg, or the direction that it's moving, is always perpendicular or 90 degrees from the centripetal force vector. And when you think of adding those two vectors up, you see that you end up with a movement that's along the pathway of a circle instead of towards the center. So now, how did this scramble the egg? So here's our egg, and we have the yolk, which is actually heavier, so it's more dense, and the egg white, which is lighter or less dense. So what happens is the denser yolk is pulled in more by the centripetal force. This means that it goes closer to the edge of the shell and mixes with the egg whites, creating this nice light yellow color. So I hope you learned a little bit more about the centripetal force and how it applies to this scrambled egg experiment. Also, a big thank you to the Rising Youth Community Service Grants Program for supporting this project. Also, be sure to check out Flavourful Science on their Instagram as well as their website for more science food-related activities. And thanks to our team, Moses and Carmen, for their help with this video and the filming of it. Be sure to like, subscribe, and share, and stay tuned for the next Flavorful Summer of STEAM video. Thanks for watching!